Last week was Youth Sunday, so we interviewed a youth for our Mental Health Matters segment. This Sunday is Holy Hilarity, so of course we had to interview a pastor who used to be a stand-up comedian. Reverend Jerry Herships currently serves as the pastor at the United Methodist Church in Aspen, Colorado, but before that, he was a former bartender, an LA comic, and even a mall Santa. He lived in Los Angeles doing stand-up, film, and television, worked at the Improv Comedy Club in Hollywood. He also performed all over the country for more than 20 years and was a contract writer for Jay Leno before moving to Denver to attend Isla School of Theology. Jerry also founded After Hours Denver, a faith community that met in bars and served the homeless, handing out lunches, socks, and communion 365 days a year. Jerry is also the author of 2 books, one that is entitled Last Call, From Serving Drinks to Serving Jesus. Let's see what Reverend Herships had to say about the importance of humor and our mental health. Well, Jerry, it's good to be here with you today. And I'm just wondering, from your experience and your knowledge about mental health and laughter, why is laughter so important to our mental health?
I think some of the folks may know Anne Lamott, the author, and she says, laughter is effervescent holiness, which I think is something that only Anne Lamott would say. But I think what we've seen is the options are pretty narrow, which is that whole, you got to laugh so you don't cry. And I think, what we've seen is communities that have been hurt in the past disproportionately have succeeded in like professional comedy. For example, the Jewish community, the Black community, who have had a horrible history of oppression, have really said, you know what, I'm going to flip this. I'm going to turn this into something. I'm going to work from this negative and make it a joy. And I think that has proven to be a really healthy model, not just for professional comedians, not just for Jerry Seinfeld, Dave Chappelle, but for us to sit there and go, where's the absurdity in this? And how can I turn this around and make it something of joy rather than something of pain?
Well, we know that early on in your life, you were involved in comedy. And then one day you were like, no, I'm going to go do God's work. And so I wonder, are there any similarities to the work that you did in comedy and being a pastor?
I'll tell you the big thing that I don't think most folks in the pews know is just the sheer amount of time that it takes to craft 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And it's something that every pastor does all over the world. And come Monday, you're looking at a blank sheet and you're trying to figure it out. And that's the one place where it's different. People go, well, preaching's probably a lot like stand-up, right? It's like, yes and no. In stand-up, you worked on 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and got it perfect. And then took it around to different faces every week. And so you could do the same jokes if you preach the same sermon every week, they'd be like, didn't we hear this last Sunday? That doesn't. So with comedy, you perfected one thing and changed the audience. With what we do now, we have the same audience and we got to change the material. So, there are similarities, but that's the big, huge difference between the two.
Let's take a bit of a commercial break here and roll to some actual comedy. Jerry Herships, what is your best church joke?
Okay, well, to be fair, it's a God joke. It's not necessarily a church joke, but this woman who goes to church, let's say that. This woman goes to church and she's with her kid and they're walking along the beach and all of a sudden this huge tidal wave just comes crashing on the beach, grabs the kid and pulls him out into the ocean. And the woman is losing her mind and she starts pleading to God. She's like, God, please, I will do anything. I will go to church twice as much. I'll be on every committee. I'll go to Bible study. I'll double my tithe. I'll be Amy's personal prayer partner. I'll do whatever it takes. Please, God, just give me my son back. And all of a sudden, the wave comes up to the beach, lays down gently, and there's the kid. And the woman is losing her mind. She's like, oh my God, thank you. I can't believe you brought my son back. Oh my God, everything I said, I promise I'll do. One thing, he was wearing a hat. Like most Christians, we are never satisfied with what we got. There you go.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well, I also know that, laughter and joy are intricately linked. And sometimes we talk about the difference between happiness and joy. And so, as you have worked in different communities, I wonder, who is a community that you have been connected with that did joy really, really well? And how did they live that out? How did you see that joy?
I think of two communities. One, when I was in LA and I was at the Improv, the comics would sit around between sets out front and would just cut up. And it was such a great place to be around people that really loved what they did and just had a passion for that. And it really came through. And it was just a fun environment to be in. The other one that people may not think is, in my previous church was a community that I created called After Hours, and we fed the homeless. And I would say pretty routinely when I would go down to the park, and we were down there 7 days a week, that hour was filled with more laughter than the whole rest of the day combined. Usually there was a real sense of finding joy in that moment, and not thinking about what they should have done in the past or worried about the future, but really being present in that moment. And they were like, hey man, I got a sandwich, I got chips, I got friends around. It's a good day. And there was always cutting up, and there was always joy in that community when I was there. Not to say their life wasn't hard, but they really had the ability to embrace the joy that was in front of them right at that moment, which was great.
It sounds a little bit like Paul in scripture, being able to find the joy no matter the circumstance.
Yes, yeah, in all circumstance, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's good to see you again. I appreciate you being with us today and just kind of reflecting a little bit on humor. Anything else you want to add about mental health and the importance of laughter?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head when you gave the introduction. I think just the fact that the church is even willing to engage with the topic, it's so taboo. And that, I come out all the time and say, like I was saying to my therapist, and let people know, you know what, it's okay. It's like going to the gym. You do the work so that you stay healthy. And I applaud the church for even doing a series like this. I think it's awesome. Really is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We have been working to normalize it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said, we really need to get to a place where when we go to the doctor, what do? They check your weight, they check your height, they check your mental health.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think this is a great thing you're doing. It really is. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks. It's good to see y'all. Be well. Take care.